Shipoli, how are you doing? Welcome at theunitymind.com. Thank you so much for signing up and for checking out this information and for your curiosity, of course, because in this video I will introduce you to the concept of unity consciousness. Now, unity consciousness and raising your vibrational frequency get thrown out a lot in the spiritual new age community. So in this video I would like to keep it as practical and even a little bit scientific as possible, so you can wrap your mind around this concept a little bit more. All right, so we can understand it with our limited rational mind, because if we can sense the thought, then the thought becomes the feeling, and the feeling is the doorstep to this higher consciousness. So what exactly is unity consciousness, and why is this important to study? Now, first of all, I would like you to understand is that I would consider myself more as a student of this concept, is that I learn and explore and resist this concept at the same time. And that's why I would love to share these ideas with you. And the reason I do this is because I have not always been that person of mindfulness and meditation and spirituality and inner peace and self-acquisition and self-reflection. As a matter of fact, I've been in a stage of my life where I was far away from that, and I will explain and I will share a little bit of where I have been coming from and why I created a strong desire and drive to learn more about this. And maybe you can also relate a little bit more, because this is probably a little bit more relatable within our human experience. Now, what exactly is unity consciousness, and how exactly does that work? It's basically the experience of oneness, okay? And oneness can also be experienced within the feeling or the frequency, vibrational frequency of unconditional love. It's moving away from things like lack, separation, isolation, loneliness, depression, emptiness, and any other lower vibrational experiences like anger, fear, doubt, shame, desire. Again, desire in the sense of not having it, so it's like the lack experience, shame, guilt, anger, hatred, so all this contracted thing. But it's basically that love and everything that goes above, all right, which is actually our original state, our original, let's say, blueprint, where we can give without conditions or expectations, and we become really, really fully present in that what we choose to do, okay? Because when we are not present and we work towards something that is yet to happen, yet to be achieved, then what will happen is, we create stress, worry, anxiety, because we disconnect ourselves from the present moment. Now, unity consciousness, let's keep this a little bit scientific. When you look at my hand, what do you see? You see a hand. But if you dive into the flesh of my hand or into the flesh of my body, then what you start to explore are cells, okay, human cells. And if you go deeper into the cell, eventually you will come across the molecule, the atom, until you reach eventually the light particle, which is called a photon. And what's interesting, because the illusion that we're currently living in, the illusion of lack and separation and isolation, that is because many centuries ago scientists agreed that we are a physical body and that's about it. It's as good as you can get, and that creates like separation. Like, I could see you within your physical body, and I see me as a separated being, a separated entity. But right now, science has been discovered, because there has been, scientific studies and research about that if you take a light particle, a photon, and you would split up a photon and you bring each photon like 7 miles away from each other, so that's like 15 miles together, 14, 15 miles together, and you stimulate one photon. I don't know how they did it, but they found a way to, trigger or make the photon move again. And within the very same second, the very same moment, the other light particle, photon, also started to move, vibrate, make changes at the very same second. So there was no delay, there was no traveling whatsoever. So that means is that the light particle is connected to a field that goes beyond space-time. And within our, let's say, physical reality, we are limited to space-time, okay? Because if we want to go somewhere else, if we want to travel, we move to a different destination, and that takes time. And time is also, of course, a concept, because there is only right now this very moment. But we have agreed upon, that we have a clock and we have time and so forth. So that's why, we live in this reality of space-time, which is very fascinating. That means is that there is an aspect of you, okay? There is something inside of you, in the slightest particle of your cells, of your being, that contains light, and that light is connected with a field that goes beyond space-time. That is connected to a field, some of us call it the matrix, alright? That is infinite. So what exactly does that mean? Which is fascinating. That means is that, we have, let's say, not only a physical body, we have a physical body, we have thoughts, so that means we also have a mental body, and we have emotions, feelings, we have an emotional body, and we also have a light body, an energy body, which is fascinating, isn't it? And perhaps through this light body, we can start to explore various concepts of consciousness, multi-dimensional planes, perhaps. And dimensions are also a state of consciousness. That's what I mean with a dimension. So how can you access this dimension of oneness, and why is this so important? Because again, the opposite of oneness is separation. And right now, probably you live in an experience of separation, of lack of what you think you should be needed in this moment in time, because you create a reality where you can't experience the things you want to experience or you want to feel. And what you think you need and want is something that is out there and you don't have it. And what you currently think about, okay, what I need or what I want is out there, away from my current reality experience. And right now you want to try to work on something, you want to have something, and where you are currently at and where you want to be, there is a sense of separation. For example, you want more money because you feel you don't have enough, you lack something of it, and that's why you create plans and strategies and goals on trying to get it. And every time when you think and feel and you say to yourself, I don't have what I think I need and want, and what you're creating is this sense of separation, and that creates feelings like stress and worries and anxieties, which can cause a whole lot of other things like this ease within your experience. You're not at ease, you are not at peace within yourself. So what is the secret to create this sense of oneness within yourself, and why is it so important? chances are, you know, you're here because maybe a couple of years ago you got exposed to the law of attraction and The Secret and these kind of things, and you know, it's all interesting. It also has been a very important part of my journey to look further and move beyond my current limited thinking and limited beliefs. And you have figured that, okay, so the law of attraction can create everything, or can attract everything that I think I need and want. The thing is, the law of attraction works together with many other universal laws. For example, the law of vibration. And through the law of vibration, you know, you activate the law of deservedness, and whatever you believe you deserve is what you can attract. But the real secret is to attract the things you want to experience. It's about creating a feeling that you already have it, so it's already within your experience and not out there. And then, you know, you stimulate or you send out a vibration into the universe, and that's how things come together. So the trick is to feel one with that what you want to experience. Is that you are already part of it, and that is already part of you. Then magical things can start to unfold for you. So that's really the trick of, you know, oneness and unity. And now you might ask yourself, okay, so sounds very interesting and cool, but how do you actually practice this in a very practical way? And the way to do that is you need to become very, very aware and mindful of your thoughts, feelings and emotions. And you know, you are conscious of only a little bit of that. You know, it's like your conscious is only like the tip of the iceberg, and your subconscious is like everything that is under the surface, you know. When you see a picture of an iceberg, you see that most of the iceberg is below the surface, what you can't see. And everything within this universe, you know, is like what Nikola Tesla once said, that if you want to understand this universe, you need to think in frequencies and vibrations. And even your thoughts, feelings and emotions has a certain type of frequency. So if you feel ashamed or guilty or anger or fearful or doubtful about something, that is a very contracted experience that creates again separation, isolation. So if you want to experience oneness, or you know, is that you feel one with that what you want to experience, it's very important that you raise your vibrational frequency to at least to the level of love, all right? Unconditional love for yourself. And that is, of course, you know, that you totally deserve it. And that you know, you can do that thing that you want to bring out in the world without any conditions, you know, like, oh, if I do this, then I expect this to come back to me. Is that you just want to give it and give it and give it, because you have totally integrated within your own experience, like this is what you want for yourself, and this is what you also want to bring out to the world and to others, without any conditions or expectations. That is unconditional love for what you do. Same, of course, for your relationship, you know, is that you have, let's say, unconditional love for your partner, all right? So whatever, you know, whatever your partner behave in a certain way, you know, you still love that person no matter what, okay? That you don't want to change the other person, okay? In the way you think is all the right things to name for a personality or whatever, okay? Now, the good news is that you are already unconditional love, okay? Because this is just part of your soul. It's who you are. That's it. End of the line. The bad news, however, is that, you know, we came here as a soul of unconditional love, and it's like, you know, we took a nosedive into, let's say, lower consciousness. And what that means is, you know, let me give you a couple of examples. of how I grew up and why I lost touch with my own true authentic self, that is because in the way I grew up, and that's for the most of us. In my example, it was because, my mother always felt very fearful in her relationship with my father. And the reason for that is because my father had certain type of, let's say, personality disorders, narcissistic personality disorder. And that was because of his own emotional abuse by his father. Because his father was a fisherman, fishing on mussels, and then there was like one season where there was a virus on the mussels, and then he gave up in the business, and then he went for a steady job for the government. That's what you used to do in that time, right? And because of that, he probably felt regret for not living up his potential, and he became bitter, he became angry, he became, all sorts of things. And he started, of course, express that to the people close to him, all right? Through all sorts of expectations and conditions, and you start to lack, let's say, empathy and self-reflection, because that's really the two major things of the characteristics of a narcissist. And because of that, my father lost touch with his true authentic self, which he started to express to the relationship he had with my mother. And because the feeling I got from my mother is that, this world is unsafe and insecure, by the time they decided to separate it, to divorce, and my mother said, okay, I'm going to this side of the country, the first thing that came up to me is, all right, so I feel that this world is not safe with you. I decide to stay with my father. Long story short, but because that was really a little bit out of the ideal situation from what government decides how children should live, I ended up in a child protection scheme, with various social workers and government institutions. And what I started to do as a way to survive is I completely shut down my emotional state, my sensitivity. I started to desensitize myself and find distractions, find addictions, working, alcohol, smoking, video games, you name it. And I started to adapt to these narcissistic behaviors. Like, you need to have external success and material things. And, by the age of 20, I started my first business, and I had my own car, I had my own sailing boat, and I was doing financially much better than my peers in school. And by the way, I was not very good at school, because I was being labeled as a slow learner and whatnot. So eventually I created a drive where I wanted to prove myself to the external world, right? Where I want to show what I'm worth through accomplishments, right? So that was really how I started to behave in my early 20s, and I did it no matter what. Not having so much care for the emotional needs for others, just trying to take care for my own needs. And then, of course, 2006, I had my stuff, but I felt in a very deep sense of loneliness and disconnection, and because I had very strong beliefs that I am disconnected from others, that I can't trust others, that people can't be trusted, especially women can't be trusted because they disappoint you, they let you down, they let you alone, they abandoned you. And if you're a lady, maybe that's the same experience for you with men, I don't know. For me it was with a woman. So I started to long for connection, and that started with me already at the age of 23. And I traveled to other sides of the world for that, seeking for that connection. Eventually I ended up in Peru, looking for connection. Did not find that in another girl. But when I came back to the Netherlands, I felt that something was changed. I was kind of different. I had some sort of an awakening. And that awakening is probably to the feminine energy. Because this really started to shake things up within my experience. Eventually I graduated from shipping and logistics, got a job in a shipping company in Rotterdam, and within weeks I started to fall in a very, very deep depression, where I started to dive even deeper into my emptiness and loneliness and isolation and separation. Again, I ended up in another long distance relationship, and that was also a way for me to open up emotionally. But my reality of work, career, finances suffered tremendously when I started to open up emotionally. Because I was first very good at it, because that was for me like a way out and distraction and addiction, being a workaholic. And it was like I was trying to get rid of this condition, and I did not want to work anymore for a long, long time. Eventually I still had this major drive to prove myself through accomplishments and achievements. And you know, I became angry and furious about being told what to do and working for an employer, working for a company. I wanted to create my own internet business, because my idea was, hey, you know what, I want to be with this girl who lived in Spain at the time. So I want an internet business and be financial free, be financial independent. So freedom and independence became a very, very big drive. After 2 years trying to make it as an internet entrepreneur, I finally started to make money promoting online advertising opportunities, business opportunities, make money online stuff. Had an email list, and eventually, you know, because I wanted to just do well for myself, still had a little bit of my narcissistic behaviors and patterns that I copied from my upbringing. Eventually I started to feel very ashamed and guilty for my behaviors, because my conscience started to play up. And how that manifested is that I got into a burnout with my internet business, and I started to sabotage everything. My business collapsed, and you know, I created a lot of guilt against making money, and I started to suffer from that a lot, trying to seek for, you know, security and that sort of things in jobs that I hated. And well, very long story short, but I came to London in 2013 and didn't want to work for a couple of months, and then I had to work. I really had to work, so I had a couple of jobs as a taxi driver, and I struggled a lot with anxiety. Then I moved back to the Netherlands for 1 year, then I came back to London, and eventually everything started to calm down a little bit, and I started to commit more to mindfulness, meditation, spirituality, and eventually I started to commit more to this path of self-acquisition and that sort of things. And what I discovered, you know, it's all about becoming mindful again over your thoughts, feelings and emotions, and doing so can help you to let go of everything that is pulling you down, to step, of course, into your true authentic self. Because it's not really about, you know, learning new things, it's all about remembering or reconnecting with that part that we are trying to suppress. All right, and through this remembering we can step into this unity consciousness. And the way to do that is, of course, by opening up the heart, because that's what I mean with remembering, is to connect that with the heart, okay, with your true authentic self. And the way to do that is, of course, through, let's say, a heart awakening meditation, because through that you can raise your vibrational frequency to love or above. And if you would like to learn more how to do that exactly, there is a link below this video that will guide you into an online masterclass. It's by another intuitive life coach, energy healer, and there you will find a heart awakening meditation and some more into-depth information and knowledge regarding how to raise your vibrational frequency. So if you have not done so, then I can highly recommend you to sign up for this online free masterclass. And of course, I would like to learn more about your experiences and what you're currently dealing with, struggling with, and what you would like to experience for yourself. And then, of course, that can also inspire me to create more of this type of videos for you while I am in nature, connecting with the present moment. Chapeau, I hope that was helpful. If you got any questions, any thoughts or ideas you would like to share, then also feel free to leave a comment below. And I will see you in one of my next videos. Take care for now. Bye bye.